Roomies. This is Lindsay and Maria, and we are here with Roomies Review the Movies. We are old college roommates who has taken a vested interest into film. I uh, graduated with a film degree, and Maria has been doing reviews on movies for the past 20 years. And
Yeah,
today,
got
yeah,
three girls. Okay.
yes. And so today we are doing a movie that Maria has never seen before, and that is Hollywood Shuffle.
Yes.
Came out in 1987. It
Mhm.
stars Robert Townsend,
Yes.
and it was written by Robert Townsend and
Mm.
Keenan Ivory Wayans.
Yes.
And it was basically written out of the frustration that they were having trying to make it in Hollywood.
Hmm.
This was an independent film that really pretty much, opened the eyes to, or opened a lot of people's eyes to what was going on in Hollywood at the time with, trying to get cast for that, major role
Yes.
and the frustrations that come along with being a black person in Hollywood trying to make it,
Hmm.
you know. And they did it with comedy. And I believe they got their point across.
They
Not
absolutely did.
Yeah. Yeah, not so much to where things changed significantly when initiatives were being put out because of the movie or anything like that. But
Right.
but they definitely got their point across with the movie. And
I
unfortunately,
think also one of the points they got across for me at least was to always keep dreaming, to not
mhm,
settle for just what is presented to you,
yeah,
to always, kind of like be inspired by your dreams of what you want to see and what you want to be, and don't let others' stereotypes and expectations of you limit that vision for yourself.
yeah, 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 absolutely, absolutely. That point was definitely made. Um, and yeah, this movie,
Now, to tell the truth, I've seen lots of clips from this movie
mhm,
throughout the years. I had just never seen the whole movie all together.
yeah,
So there are lots of parts where I was like, "Oh, I know this word for word." Like,
hmm, yep, yep, absolutely. It's a lot of throwbacks to this movie.
mhm.
It's a lot of it's a lot of case studies on this movie as well because we definitely talked about it in my African American film history class for
Mm.
sure.
Yeah, you had to. Are you kidding?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely,
You'd be remiss if
absolutely,
you didn't.
right, right, and yeah, it was very intriguing because in '87 we wasn't thinking about no movies for real that wasn't
Well,
outside
I
of
mean, to be
Disney.
fair, in '87, we were what, 3 years old? So
Right, right. That's what I'm saying. Like outside of Disney, we weren't thinking
I
about.
was we weren't thinking much at all. We
Right. Right. So, we missed the wave for Hollywood Shuffle when
yeah,
it initially came
just
out.
a little
But
too young.
yeah, just a tad, just a couple years.
Yeah.
But yeah, but it has you definitely withstand the test of time.
Yes.
And uh unfortunately, some of those things still exist to this day.
Yeah, some of those things
Yeah.
definitely stand true. I was on a Blue Sky because
Hmm.
while we watch the movie, we also do post about it. I would live post. We did
Yeah.
live tweet. We don't do that no more.
Right, right.
So we Blue Sky about it. So you got to join our Skyline, follow us, and you can see when we're live tweeting like these movies that we're watching and stuff. So I was, of course, watching this one and live posting about it. And one of the lines that really stuck out to me, they were talking about Hollywood, and like the movies they want, and they were saying like they really just want sequels,
Hmm.
you know, and I was like, "Whoo, that's still very true."
Yeah.
They really just want sequels. Even with the reaction to Sinners, right?
Hmm.
Original film, right? Not a part of a franchise, not based on a book or anything else. And then you have Variety coming out with headlines like, "Oh, They only made $60 million in their opening weekend.
It's like only,
Yeah.
like only.
Are they going to be profitable?
Right. There's movies that don't make 60 million, period.
Ever.
And they made an opening weekend.
Yeah. And it's like, it's a very weird headline there, Variety.
Mm-hmm.
Very weird. What are you doing?
Right. And then
I feel like you're trying to enrage for engagement. I feel like that's what you're doing.
Yeah. And then have you seen the latest? I forgot what publication, but they started talking about how it dropped significantly.
But here's the thing. It didn't, that's not what it said. It was the way that it was worded.
Yeah.
It was very weird because what it was really saying was that it only dropped 10%, which is very rare. Usually movies drop a good 50-60% in the second week.
Mm-hmm.
But they worded it in a way that made it sound like it had a huge drop, and I just don't understand.
Right. I think they made it like they said like 27 slots or something like that. And if you're just like watching stuff like that, you don't know. So it sounds like a huge number. And it's like,
yeah.
What are y'all trying to do?
It's not actually. It's actually phenomenal. It's a small number.
Yeah.
And why would you word it that way? It's
right. It's extremely weird. And it's like, sure, that's because damn near everybody and their mama saw it the first weekend.
And I saw it this weekend too.
Did you?
I seen it twice.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
went. Yeah.
Huh?
I still ain't went. I was supposed to go Friday, but I had something else to do. So I'm going though. I'm going. I'm gonna go. I definitely am going.
When?
Probably not next weekend because I'll be gone. But
they don't have movie theaters where you going?
I'm sure they do.
Mm.
Yeah. We'll figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I do have plans on going.
Because we have to talk about it.
Yes. We're definitely gonna talk about it.
Yes.
We're most definitely gonna talk about it. But yeah, I do still have the plan to go.
Yeah. So I'm sorry. The line was, it's not about art, it's about sequel.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And just like all the rest of the country, I'm obsessed with Sinners at this point, but it is such a great example of what this movie is talking about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And this movie, it definitely, shedded a lot of light on what was going on. And unfortunately, what still goes on to this day in Hollywood, because you still hear people, coming out today talking about like the issues that they have.
Oh, yeah.
With trying to get casted and whatnot. And these are like A-listers, still having to audition, still having to play the game, still not getting paid what they
having
should
to do their own hair and makeup.
Yeah.
Or bring in their own hair and makeup team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or having to get to the set by themselves, And it's like it's a lot going on still to this day.
Very much so.
So but yeah. I want to say that this was like Robert Townsend's first film that he wrote and starred in. And like I said, he wrote it with Keenan, Ivory, Wayans.
And all the Wayans are in it.
Yeah. Right. So we definitely saw I definitely saw Kim and Damon. Yeah. Speaking of Damon, just sidebar, do you watch Papa's House?
I've never heard of it.
Oh wow. Okay. So Papa's House is a show on CBS. It's a comedy that Damon stars in with Junior. Damon Wayans Jr.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and they star father and son. Essence Atkins is in it as well.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's a good show, but it got canceled.
Oh, well, dang.
Yeah. And I heard it was for significantly low ratings.
Oh, well.
So, but every time I say something to somebody about it, they say they ain't never heard of it. So
I've never heard of it.
Yeah.
And that sounds like that was part of the problem.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. It was written by Keenan, Ivory, Wayans, and Robert Townsend. And
John Witherspoon, Helen Martin.
cast is stacked. Cast is crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Anne Marie Johnson, who you would recognize from In the Heat of the Night.
Yes, absolutely. There was a stint where I couldn't stop watching In the Heat of the Night.
I still watch it. If I see it's on, I'll play it. Are you kidding?
Yes.
It's good. It's really good.
It really is. It really is. Yeah.
Helen Martin as his grandmother, who I remember from
227
chicken commercials.
Church's chicken commercials. She was in those.
Yeah, she was in some commercials like that. And I think she was also in what was that? Pray. Was it Pray? It was the guy from the Jeffersons when he had the church.
Oh, Amen.
Amen. That's what it was. Yes.
She wasn't on Amen.
She wasn't on Amen? Okay, no. Never mind. But I remember her from somewhere, okay?
Yeah, you remember from 227. Did you watch 227?
Kind of. It wasn't really on reruns when I was a kid. It came on reruns later. So I've seen like episodes later, but not really when I was a kid.
Okay. Yeah.
I definitely saw her on Good Times, Sanford and Son. Definitely saw her on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. She was around for a long time.
Yeah. She was always working. Yeah. That's probably why I think I saw her because she was on the Jeffersons. So yes.
And she was on Don't Be a Menace. Remember she was the grandma on Don't Be a Menace?
Mm-hmm. She was on St. Elsewhere. That was also a good show.
Mm-hmm.
She was on Full House.
She probably was on an episode.
And The Flash. She was in House Party 2. This girl was working.
House Party 2. I've seen House Party 2 a million times. I'm trying to think. Yes, she's the Full Force. She's their grandma.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
She was in I'm About It.
Yep, she was.
Mm-hmm. Bulworth, I did see that. I remember seeing that in theaters.
Bulworth, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I want to say she didn't die till like, 2000 or something?
Yeah, and that was the year of her last role, actually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she worked up to the end.
She worked until the very end.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely. Helen Martin was a goat.
Legend. Are you kidding?
Yeah. Yeah, so, and she was good. She was good in this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So, let's go ahead and get into Hollywood Shuffle. So, we open up with Robert Townsend's character, who is Bobby. He is preparing to go to an audition. Yes. And we hear some of the lines that he's running with his little brother. And
it honestly took forever for them to tell you that he's his little brother.
Yeah, because you couldn't really tell if that was his son or what.
His brother, his son. Mm-hmm. Is this a cousin, a nephew? Like, it's just not.
Mm-hmm.
You're like probably a third away through the movie before they're actually like, that's his little brother. I was like, oh.
Yeah. And you know what I think? I think it's more us than them because we're so used to Robert Townsend being significantly older.
Yeah.
And he gives older.
He does. Like the woman who plays his mother does not look that much older than him.
She doesn't.
Even if she was a young mom, like,
right.
I don't know.
Right. So that's why I'm like, I think it's more us than them because I feel like he could have been young enough to have that as a little brother and it would have been okay. Maybe it was okay when it came out, but for us,
I just thought it was strange they didn't like explain that immediately because usually, at the start of a movie, you get you get names and you get relationships. We got named, but we did not get relationship. And it was just like, so who is this child?
Right. Because we got it with the mom, we got it with the grandma, but we did not get it with him. So, yeah, you're right. Because they didn't say that for a while. Let's see. Marlon is watching. He says, "Hi, Roomies." Hey, Marlon.
Hey, Marlon.
Yeah. So we have him running lines. These lines sound insane. Yeah, so like it's like a stick up, but it's like a you can tell that a person that's not of the culture wrote it.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
yeah, and he's running the lines and he's like, "No, you got a knife. Don't be stabbing me with no knife. I ain't got no money, man." Like it's horrible. So and then he's breaking because he's forgetting the lines and he's like, "What's my next line?" Like and so yeah, so his little brother is helping him run the lines and stuff. And the grandma walked in first and she was just rolling her eyes and walked back out. And then the mom walked in, you know, kind of giving him a little encouragement. And so then he goes on ahead and finishes up and he leaves. And then his grandma going ahead and, gives him some encouragement before he leaves. And so then we see this montage of him, driving through the neighborhood, speaking to people. Everybody knows that he's an inspiring actor. And so this is what he does. He goes on all these auditions. And so everybody's, giving him encouragement. You're going to get this one. You're going to get this
You're
one.
gonna make it.
Yeah. So we see a montage of him, going to his girlfriend's job, going to his uncle's job, going
Talking to her through the window
yeah.
so long. I was like, if you don't just go in there and talk to her like a regular person.
Right. So but yeah, and then we see him talking to the neighborhood people and stuff like that, because he's Bobby. He's going on an audition. He's real hyped. Then he goes to his job. His job is where Keenan works. Keenan's character works, and then also John Witherspoon's character.
He's the manager, I guess.
I think he's the owner.
He's the owner. Okay.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't because like later on they get into that little fight and they're like, well, he owns it and he's the cook, and I was like, oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so he's Mr. Jones, and it's a little hot dog shop.
Winky Dinky hot dog stand.
Yes.
And they
And
have a hat. They have like that what is it, a tricorder hat or whatever? Little like diamond shaped kind of hat. And then they have two hot dogs sticking out from it like antenna. It's oh my god.
Yeah. It's pretty funny.
The worst.
It's pretty funny. You're right. And they're so serious about Winky.
They're very serious.
And they're
in serious business.
Right. Extreme serious business. And they're so upset that he is aspiring to do other things besides work at Winky Dinky Dog.
Right. Hot dogs are your future. What are you doing? Get your head out of the clouds. Like what?
Right. Like, be serious. Shoot, I would have fired you by now. Like all that. So he makes up an excuse. Of course, Mr. Jones knows it's BS, but he's like, you better come back with a doctor's note. And if you don't come back,
I gotta go to the dentist. And he's like, I know you're going on a audition.
Right.
Come back with a doctor's note.
Mm-hmm. Right. And if you're not back by noon, we're gonna have a serious talk about your position.
At the hot dog stand.
Sure. Yeah. So he goes to the audition. He does have an appointment. However, they are significantly behind.
Everybody has an appointment. I don't know what he was thinking.
Yeah. Right. And it's a whole room full of folks. They're all there for various roles, and they're running their lines and stuff. And
I love it because the camera just kind of goes down the line of all the people there, and they all have their little lines and scenes and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But it was all very funny.
Yeah. And they're all significantly smarter than the role. And that is definitely on display. And it's you go through, like, while they're going down the line, you go through these various people, and like there's people with English accents, there's people with all these accolades and degrees and
different backgrounds.
Yeah, just a pretty diverse. They're discussing their I can't think of the word. They're discussing their experience. The various experiences and stuff. And like light skin, there's two light-skinned guys. They're talking about their experiences and how
Wow, it's so hard to be light skinned
yeah,
because they won't cast us to be hoods because they don't believe light skin can be tough. Aw.
yeah. And one guy was like, yeah, so I just put on suntan. Like,
Exactly. Please.
yeah,
Being
yeah,
light skinned never caused me no problem. Shut up. Like, please stop.
man. But the plight of the light skins. So
Right. The plight of the light. That is what I posted. I was like, oh no.
right. Right. So, and what's so funny is that I don't know if it's because I'm conditioned this way because of what I've seen or what, but you gotta be stone cold for me to take you seriously if you light skin. As a gangster, you know, because what's his name? Christopher B. Duncan. He played he played a gangster in Original Gangsters.
Mm-hmm.
And I cannot take him seriously at all.
Yeah, I didn't grow up with that like at all.
Yeah.
So I didn't grow up with any ideas about if you were dark or light, if that meant
Mhm.
anything at all.
Yeah.
Like it just
Yeah.
wasn't a thing, period. So
Right.
like the first time I heard somebody like talking about that, I think it was like in 6th grade.
Mm.
And this girl was talking about some guy who liked her, these guys who liked her, whatever. And to her friends, and I was by my locker, right? And she's like, oh, talking about one was light skin and one was dark skin, whatever. So this one is cuter because he's light skin or whatever. And I was like, what? I'm like,
Mm.
I was not involved in the conversation. Okay.
Yeah.
But at that point, I was like, I literally looked at her and said, you're both black.
Like, I don't understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was a thing. That colorism is
Yep.
definitely a thing.
Colorism is definitely a thing.
Yeah.
Even though we didn't really interact with it or talk about it in my house, it's definitely a thing. Please don't get twisted.
Right. So, yeah, but it's so funny because same actor, Christopher B. Duncan, he plays a gangster on BMF,
Mm-hmm.
and you could take him 1000% serious. So I'm like, I don't know if it's because of the writing or what, but
yeah,
it's something.
Could be the writing, could be
Yeah.
skill issue,
Yeah.
just improved since then or whatever.
Right. It could be a conglomerate of them all, But yeah. But yeah, so yeah, so we have that conversation. We, are having various conversations. And then this one guy, who actually plays in a lot of Robert Townsend shows, or movies and shows. What's his name? It's not again. I can't think of his first name. Of Roy Fagan.
Yes.
He's sitting next to him and he's like, this is some BS. Straight up. This is some straight BS. And, he pretty much said out loud what everybody I'm sure is thinking, But then
stereotyping,
mhm.
They want us to fit this idea in their head, blah, 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 blah. I don't want to betray my culture that way, whatever.
Yeah. Right. All the bullet points on why this is some BS. But then when his number got called, he got up and he put on that face that they want to see.
So that was definitely one of the scenes I had seen before.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
you're just trying to get him to leave so you don't have more competition.
That's exactly what he was doing.
Yeah.
But I mean, even though he was speaking the truth, that's the same thing I thought when I saw it. I was like, yeah, he's trying to get him out of his head. But he don't even know what he's going for. They actually was going for 2 different things or 2 different roles.
Yes.
But
he didn't know. He's just trying to cut out his competition.
Right. So so then we cut to the auditions, and it's 1 woman, 2 guys, all white, and they're pretty much telling them what they want out of the person, what they
oh my goodness.
Yeah, they're telling them how gangster they want them to be.
They're telling them to be the middle or combination of two opposing ideals at all times.
Yeah.
Be sexy and innocent.
Right, right. And you can see the person like doing this and
Like,
like
like what is that? Like, you know, yeah, I need you to be both of these things that are opposed to each other, but at the same time.
But at the same time, yeah, and go. So,
And the way it was so specific, the way these three people who were doing the interviews interact with each other and the people they're interviewing, because one will talk. There's three interviewers. One will talk to another interviewer and say to them, "Hey, ask them this," while that person they want to ask is sitting directly in
right
room.
there.
Look, as if they are not in the room.
Right, right.
I can't hear you. It's so weird.
Like,
I was like,
y'all
oh,
speak English. Right.
This must be a thing that actually happens, because this is really very specific and it happens way more than once.
Yeah. Right. Right. I believe that it does happen, because I've seen that. I've seen that with other scenes, not just in this movie, but like with other shows and stuff like that. Like you see them like whisper to one another, and then one person, talk. Hold on.
I can understand them whispering to each other, sharing their thoughts and things like that, but like the person is right there. Just ask them your question.
Right. So
very strange.
Yeah. The whole thing, like the whole anxiety of it all, the whole, just the mental fuck of it all, just basically, and they know that they putting you through all that, and they don't care.
No.
So, yeah.
Because they were like, well, this role is going to make you famous, whatever. And we do see a montage of like people coming in and trying out for various roles. The one that really stuck with me was this one Black woman who's like very flirty, cute girl, whatever. She's flirting with one of the interviewers while the female interviewer is on the phone talking to somebody, having a real loud conversation, right?
Yeah.
And at the end of that conversation, she tells her, "Okay, that's enough. Thanks, bye." And she hasn't even done anything.
Yep. And then like, the other two people were like enjoying her.
Yeah.
Yeah, but she was out.
She was like, "I can be tough. I understand this is a role for a tough woman or whatever." And the female interviewer was like, "No, we're done here." And like, even though she hasn't seen her at all.
Yep. And then she kind of
stands up. "I can be tough." I'm like, I believe you.
Right. So, yeah. It was definitely a scene that just really opened the eyes to just all the BS that goes on in being auditioned, and so Robert does, well, not Robert, but Bobby does his interview.
Bobby, Robert, I mean, really,
he does his audition and whatnot, and he does feel good about the audition and whatnot, and he goes away from that. And another thing that they do in this movie is, which he's known for doing, like he used to have a show called the Robert Townsend Show, which was kind of like a skit comedy show, and then and then he had the Parenthood.
Oh, that's what I'm thinking about, the Parenthood.
Yeah. So we was too young for the Robert Townsend Show when it was out. I've seen it after it was out, but it was that, and then he also had the Parenthood. And what he used to do a lot was he used to break away and daydream, and so he does that a few times in this movie as well. Let's see. Marlon says that Helen Martin was on Good Times as well.
She sure was.
And he says, here's a fun fact. Helen Martin said when she wasn't working in Hollywood, she worked a regular 9-to-5 job at the post office.
That's funny.
Wow. Yeah.
Especially considering her line in this movie is work at the post office.
Right. And that's probably the reason why she kept saying that too. That's so funny.
Which is just so unfortunate that is no longer the case.
Yeah. Yeah. That
There's not always work at the post office these days.
no, no, it's not. Nah, not in the least. So, but yeah. So yeah, so we have the oh my god, my nephew. I'm so sorry.
So it's basically like, honestly, it's a lot of different sketches and vignettes about being Black in Hollywood and the things people ask of you or expect from you
Hmm.
as a Black actor in Hollywood, and then also what it's like to try and become an actor in Hollywood when you're from a family or a town that's not familiar with that. Like, what are you doing?
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
It's also about your personal morals. What are
Yeah.
you willing to put up with
Right.
to achieve the success you think you desire? What are you willing to compromise?
Right. 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 He does.
And
He does go through all of those emotions during this movie
mhm,
because he eventually does get a callback
yeah,
and then ultimately the role.
right, for this role of
Yeah.
what's it, Jerome? Or
Yeah.
and he's a gangster and he's part of the Afros gang.
Hmm.
Because they all just wear big afros, and that's why they're the Afros gang.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Marlon says, I watched this movie a few weeks ago. It paved the way for movies such as Coming to America, I'm Gonna Get You Sucker, Harlem Nights, House Party, The Five Heartbeats, Boomerang, and Friday. It
You'll
definitely did.
Yeah, you'll find no
Definitely.
argument with me.
Yeah. 100%.
I think it paved the way for a lot because again, like there's so much in here about imagination and seeing yourself differently, and just the existence of this film itself is kind of a statement to that because
Hmm.
talking about all these things. And you see after this so many other different and maybe independent films where Black people have more intricate, complex roles.
Hmm. Yeah. 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 And then you see them doing several different types of roles and stuff because like and then also making fun of the bullshit that the white folks put you through trying to
Mhm.
get these black roles and
Mhm.
telling you that you're not black enough. And it's like, what do you know about being black? You're white,
Right.
you know?
So
um,
yeah, we have
one
that
of the
Black
things,
actor school skit.
yes, yes, that's what I was about to bring up was the black acting school.
Mhm.
And one of the courses is talking jive.
Mhm.
Excuse me. One of the courses is talking jive, and it's a white guy telling these two black guys how to talk jive.
A
Uh,
lot of the instructors are white.
yes, yes, they're white, and these black guys, they're being taught how to pimp walk.
Mhm.
That's a course too,
Of
and then
course.
there's a they speak to a graduate of the school. After he graduated, he's gone on to do all types of different roles. He's been a thief. He's
Mm.
been a gangster.
Mm.
He's been a thug.
Mm.
He's been a pimp.
So different, the range.
Yeah,
Yeah.
big range, big range. But he's getting hired, and
Mhm.
that's the thing. At the end of the day, he's getting hired. There's one. Excuse me. There's one um person that they show that became like a big star. He's on this show, and it's so funny because what they show on the screen, and they're like your favorite show coming on Thursday nights at 8 o'clock.
Oh, the bat,
Yeah,
this man who was half
there's a bat in
black,
the house.
half bat,
Yeah,
called the Batty Boy, and I was like, "Is anybody English on this set?"
right. But did you catch? I don't know if you caught what they were saying before they showed that show. When they was like your favorite show coming on Thursday nights at 8 p.m. You know what
Mhm.
your favorite show was that came on Thursday nights at 8 p.m.
No, I
in the
don't.
80s?
No.
The Cosby Show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I don't know if that was like a nod or a
I
slight.
do. Mm.
Yeah, because like when
It
I
could be
first
a little
saw it,
both.
It could have been. It could have been. Because when I first saw it, I was like, they talking about the Cosby Show. And then it was this Bat Boy. Yeah. Marlon says another fun fact: John Witherspoon's name was Mr. Jones in Friday as well. Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Yeah. No, I mean, I watched the Cosby Show all the time as a kid. I just don't remember what night that was.
Yeah. Yep. That was appointment television.
Yeah, I remember being there.
Yeah.
What night that was? I was there though.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. So,
Black Actor School was another one of the skits that I had seen previously.
You said what again?
The Black Actor School was another one of the skits I had seen previously.
Oh, yeah.
So that one, and then also the one where they're slaves and running away.
Yes.
Seen that one too.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then he helped the wife. And then, she was calling him Mandingo. Now, have you ever seen that movie Mandingo?
I have not.
Okay, so that was one of the movies that we actually watched in my African American film history class. And that was...
I can understand why, knowing the term.
Yeah. We were warned about certain things in that movie prior to watching it. And so that's where the term came from, was from that movie Mandingo. And then the lead actor, he was coming up around the time that OJ was coming up.
Mm-hmm.
And in the acting world, I should say, and he was a former football player as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was one thing that they said. And then it was just like certain things in the movie that that movie was tough. I'll tell you that. That was a tough watch. But
when she called him that, I was like, oh.
Yeah, because in the movie Mandingo, so it was a husband and wife, and of course
so
they were slave
trigger warning for everything, I'm sure. Like,
you said what?
Trigger warning for everything, I'm sure. Content warning.
Yeah. And spoiler alert. So but the husband slave owner, he liked, messing with the slave women. And I think there was like one in particular that he really liked. Mm-hmm. And the wife knew it. He didn't like his wife at all, and she knew it. But she cheated on him, and she ended up getting with the Mandingo slave. And so they actually made love. Mm-hmm. She ends up getting pregnant. And so of course, back then you don't know until you know. And so when the baby came out, the baby was black. They ended up killing the baby. And the husband knew exactly who it was. Mm-hmm. So he went to the slave, and they had a fight, and he drowned the slave. So yeah.
Great. What was the point?
Yeah, right. But it was just I think it was a ode to that movie when the white woman came and she was
for sure
and called him Mandingo. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, I know exactly where you're going.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. So yeah,
and he went off with her.
Mm-hmm. And he ran off with her, right?
Left the other two black women behind.
Yeah. So Marlon says the reason why Christopher B. Duncan wasn't taken serious in Original Gangsters was because people saw him on the Jamie Foxx first.
I can see that.
I can see that as well. Yeah. But I think Original Gangsters came out before Jamie Foxx.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. But maybe people didn't see it till after Jamie Foxx.
Yeah. Or they could have been on around the same time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Right. So, but yeah. So, we have the acting school scene. Then we have the Siskel and Ebert guys that did the did the whole Siskel and Ebert.
He said Real Brothers at first, and I thought, oh, that would be such a great name, REEL,
Yeah.
But instead they ended up calling it like Sneaking Into the Movie Theater or whatever.
Yeah. Right. Their whole thing was sneaking in, watching these movies, and they was giving thumbs up and thumbs down, which it would have been, it would have been cute sneaking into the movies or whatever. But then they started like really having conversations about the movies, and I'm like, okay, yeah, like this would have been a real good, actual real good show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. I would watch it.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the Jamie Foxx show and Original Gangsters, came out the same year.
They did. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So.
It was and I actually really, really like this part because I love the whole conceit of like being able to display these different ideas and sketches this way,
Mm-hmm.
making the movies and then having them review it. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh man, this could go on for a long time, actually. Like,
Yeah. It
a
went
lot
on
of
for
it.
a significant amount of time. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So. Yeah, because like with the movie itself, like the actual story, it wasn't too much to the story, but it was just
Yeah, it
it
was
was
literally like a scene for the movie.
right. And so like but like it was just so much other things, and it was just like, okay, it was an entertaining way to get a point across,
Mhm.
you know. So because basically, he just pretty much goes through a whole like mental situation to where he has to really consider if he wants to follow through with actually taking this role.
Yeah.
Because this could be the big break that he's been wanting for so long. However, he has to fight with his moral ground. And then it doesn't help that some people are vocal about the moral ground that he has to go back and forth about,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah,
So,
because you also have people who are just happy for his success.
mhm.
Because, like he says a couple times in the movie, it's a job, it's work.
Yeah.
And it's like you said, it's what he's wanted to do for as long as we've known him.
Mhm.
Um, so it can be hard to be like, oh, I have this starring role. It seems like a really great opportunity. This is what I wanted to do, and of course, this could break my whole thing open, blah, 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 blah. It's work. I need that. But then also I'm playing a stereotype.
Right. And going against everything that I've stood on, everything
Yeah,
I
that
was
I
taught, you know.
actually believe in.
Right. Right. So, it's a mental thing. It's a
Mhm.
mental thing that he has to go back and forth about. He talks to his uncle. His uncle was a singer back in the day, and now he's a barber,
Mhm.
you know. And his uncle, gives him advice. He started believing in what people was telling him that he wasn't going to make it and all this kind of stuff.
Mhm.
And he's trying to tell him, like, don't give up.
Don't listen to those people.
Don't listen to those people. And so, which was, sound advice. Um,
Now
and
he didn't tell him about the role he was
no, he
doing.
didn't. He didn't tell him about the role.
He
Um,
might have had something else to say.
right. But yeah, like it was, it was just, pretty much him just really, really contemplating on if he should go forth with it or not.
Yeah.
Another thing was he went on ahead and he did go to the set, and he was gonna go through with it, but then he opted not to.
Yeah. And his
So,
grandmother had been talking to him about this role and how
mhm.
she really didn't approve of it. Well, she didn't really talk to him. She talked out loud in the house and he heard her. Like,
And she knew he heard him.
right. um and she was concerned about like the basically she was concerned about how impressionable his brother and other kids like him would be if they were to see him portraying this type of character, right?
Mhm.
And she was like, I disapprove basically. Yeah, I don't like you playing this type of character. I feel like this is going to be detrimental actually.
Mhm.
And he tells her, well, it's work. It's work. I need work. And she's the word. There's work at the post office.
Right. Right. In 87, yes, not too much in 25.
Not too much in today.
Yeah. Marlon says another fun fact: Roy Fagan's son, Rashawn Fagan, is an actor as well. Yes, he was on what was that show? Dang it. The show with oh shoot, I can't think of the show. Greenleaf. He was on Greenleaf,
Oh,
and
okay.
then he was also on he played Bobby DeBarge in the Bobby DeBarge story.
Okay.
Yeah, which we have to review one of these days because it is streaming right now and it is one of the worst movies I have ever seen. It's one of those, yeah. Oh God, it's bad. It's a TV One original movie.
On TV One.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, so anywho, yeah. So this movie does have a lot of cultural significance,
Yeah.
you know, because like what we've been discussing before, basically the plight of the African American in Hollywood,
Mm-hmm.
and what they have to
And
go through.
yeah, and really more specifically, like being an African American man,
Hmm.
because they didn't do anything about hair and makeup,
Nope.
which would have been great. Like, there's so
Hmm.
much humor for that to happen, and they did not even go
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. Sure, that would have added another 10 minutes.
At least, at least.
Right, right. So, yeah. Yeah, but the movie was definitely entertaining.
Oh yeah,
If you don't know anything about how it was or how it is in Hollywood, it definitely is an eye opener.
yeah. I mean,
Um,
it's definitely a response to the black exploitation films that were so
mhm.
popular prior. Um, and then you could also say it's kind of a prophetic response to a lot of the hood movies that came after. Like,
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
'cause,
And
before that, you had Mac, the Knife, you had Superfly, you had all these other things like that. And there's always an original, and it's always like, oh, that was really super cool and good, and then it becomes a trend and a trope and
mm,
tired and a stereotype.
mhm.
And you want to do some other things, and that's when you get Hollywood Shuffle.
Yep, yep, yep. Absolutely, absolutely. So it was, but yeah, it was my second time seeing this movie.
Oh
I saw
wow.
it. I saw it years ago, and then this, and 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 it was after seeing several other projects from Robert Townsend. So to go back and see this one and see where it all began, it was like pretty cool, pretty
Yeah.
cool to see, you
Yeah.
know, because we grew up on the Parenthood,
Right.
So, and that's the Robert Townsend that we knew, and the Five Heartbeats,
The Five
you know,
Heartbeats. Yeah.
so that's the Robert Townsend that we knew.
Right.
To see the other Robert Townsend and to really understand the significance of Robert Townsend
Mhm.
is pretty cool.
I agree.
And then also, Meteor Man. I remember seeing Meteor Man
Yeah,
at
man. Yeah.
hmm
'Cause there is a segment, like you were saying, he daydreams a lot. So there's a segment here where he's daydreaming about all these different roles that he could play. And so one of the roles he dreams about is a Superman type kind of role.
hmm
Even though
Right.
he's still told, "Hey, we need you to get out of the sky and start saving people." Like, um, and then another one of them is called Rambro, the First
Yes.
Youngblood. And I was like, I would absolutely watch that. Are you kidding me? Make that movie now. Like,
Right, 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 right. So it was a bunch of cool ideas that Hollywood would never let him make,
yes.
So um he just pretty much showcased a whole bunch of cool ideas. Um but I mean, it's pretty cool. It's just pretty cool to see, like I said, the significance of Robert Townsend.
Yeah.
Um, because we saw a different Robert Townsend growing up.
Yeah. Mhm. And I love the feel of the movie.
Hmm.
It's an independent film. It feels like an independent film. It feels like a bunch of people who had, a lot of ideas in common coming together to create this thing. Um, it feels like they had a good time. There was one scene where he's imagining being like in a noir detective
Hmm.
movie, and he's talking to, I can't remember which one of the Wayans brothers it is. Okay, so he's talking to him, and they're talking about some criminal who goes by the name of Jerry Curl, whatever. And the Wayans brother starts talking about him, and then he starts laughing. He totally breaks
Mm-hmm.
when he's not supposed to.
Right, right, right. Yeah.
So I was like,
All
oh my
that
goodness.
Jerry curl juice.
Yes, that was also a great scene, and I had seen that before. I don't think I had realized it was from this movie uh,
Mm-hmm.
because of the black and white thing and everything.
Right, right.
Um, but yeah, I love it. You know, when he's what was it? He got his activator,
Mm-hmm.
and now he can't spray it on, and he's like in a dance studio,
Yeah.
and he whips his head, you know, like that, and the juice goes flying everywhere. I was like, oh my god, people are so gonna slip and fall.
Right, right. Yeah.
On a dance floor? Like, come on.
Of all places, right?
So he holds his activator juice captive, right, for this scene. And he's begging for it back. And as he's begging for it back, every time they cut to him, his hair is changing. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's getting bigger and thicker and then smaller and shorter. And like,
Right,
you know,
right. He's
shrinkage is
losing his
real.
strength.
Right.
He's definitely losing his strength. So, but yeah, yeah, yeah. There were several different things where it was like that would really be a cool idea.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah. So you ready to rate?
Yeah, let's rate it.
All right. So we have our rating system.
Mhm. And what would you give it, Lindsay?
Well, let's go through the rating system. We have 1 movie real trash AF, 2 it exists, 3 entertaining, 4 great, 5 a true classic. I would give it a 3.5.
3.5. Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Why
Yeah.
3.5?
Because it is entertaining. It does keep your engagement. It has some really cool scenes and whatnot. However, it's not too much to the story itself. So that's the only real big, it's a big setback, but nonetheless that's the only real setback. But I feel like what the movie was made for, to get the point across, was the point was definitely made, and it was made in an entertaining way. It wasn't like knocking you over the head with the
Yeah.
point, you
Wasn't
know. Like some movies can definitely do, where it's like, all right, come on, we get
I get it, right.
it. So but yeah, that's the only, I mean, it's a big setback, but that's the only real setback, is that it wasn't too much to the story.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. There wasn't like a whole lot of plot,
Mm-hmm.
honestly. Um, but I guess it wasn't really about plot, you
Yeah.
know. It's more about ideas, I guess, and who you are, right?
Mm-hmm.
Than necessarily the story, right? But I agree with you. Definitely could have used a little bit more story plot. It's just way too thin, to the point where it seems like just a lot of skits that you had about this idea,
Mm-hmm.
which is fine, but that's not a movie.
Right. Right. So what
Um,
would you rate it?
I rated a 5.
5.
True classic.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it's one of the first films to like confront an issue like this, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you know, later on we get things like parody films, right?
Yeah.
Which will address a lot of issues. I mean, because that even starts with the Wayans
Yeah.
in Scary Movie.
Yeah.
Would we have Wayans in the Scary Movie if we didn't have Hollywood Shuffle?
Yeah. But they also did Don't Be a Menace.
Yeah, no, I know that, but this is this is kind of like in line with that, and I feel like it kind of jump started that whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the
Yeah.
satire and parody of tropes.
Yeah. Yeah, but I'm saying, like, they did Don't Be a Menace years before Scary Movie.
No, yeah,
Mm.
I think it definitely belongs in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just think this was the starting off point, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So you know, it inspired almost a whole genre of film, like
Mm-hmm.
that didn't really exist at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So I would call it a true classic, for those reasons. And then also, just like Marlo was explaining before, all the things it inspired,
Yeah.
movies inspired. I would definitely name it a classic for that. And even just to the point where I just really love the whole message of like keep dreaming.
Mm-hmm.
Don't let their expectations of you keep you in a prison, making you do things that you actually don't want to do.
Yeah. Gotcha.
So
Yeah.
that's why I give it a 5.
Yeah. Which that was a big difference.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
We're usually pretty close together.
Right. But sometimes that's a good thing to have
Yeah.
big differences and have opposing thoughts and whatnot.
Yeah.
Which I mean we kind of still was on the same, it's just we looked at things differently, which is awesome.
Yeah.
You know. So that was 1987's Hollywood Shuffle.
Yes, it was.
So what are we watching next?
We are watching Just Right, starring Common and Queen Latifah.
Okay.
It is streaming on Hulu.
Is it? Okay.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. So Just Right.
Oh, and also Paula Patton is in it.
Okay. Yeah, I do remember the movie, but I never watched it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Gotta catch you up
yeah.
on some
Oh,
black romance.
yeah. I was not too fond of those at the time. So yeah. Definitely. So Maria, where can we find you?
Oh, you can find me online, mostly on Blue Sky at valarmordollars.bsky.social. So that's valarmor.dollars.bsky.social. I'm also on another podcast called Nerdgasm Noir with 5 other Black ladies where we talk about nerdy, geeky, tech, pop culture, comic stuff. So you can come join us over there. And where can they find you, Lindsay?
You can find me everywhere at L_Ranelle. That's L_RANELLE. And also on my other podcast, They Actually Talk, where me and my cousin talk about a variety of topics.
Hot topics.
Yes. So,
Yes.
yes.
There are many these days.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot. We're on spring break. Right. We're on spring break now, but oh boy,
Okay,
will we come back. So yeah, man. So this was episode 78 of Roomies Review the Movies, and we will see you guys for episode 79.
We sure will.
Yep, just right.
Bye.
Bye.
See you next time.